So we talked about the Ebola, West Africa. We talked about Syria. We talked about Hong Kong protests, China, a little bit of Taiwan, a little bit of North Korea. We brushed across Iraq. You want to move over to domestic and wrap this up?
Yeah, real briefly.
Tal, you want to talk nationally about the Senate races?
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting because this is got to be the worst map for the Democrats in, I don't know, certainly in my lifetime of following Senate races, where you just have a bunch of states, the red states or states where Obama got trounced by Romney or certainly McCain in 2008, where it's just there's a lot of visceral reaction. The president's approval rating is in the toilet, quite frankly. And it should be.
He tries so hard.
It should be a wave, just an absolute wave to guarantee to bring them to power, and they might still get there. I think they'll it's either going to be really a 1-seat difference. But the interesting thing is despite all that, and despite the fact that in the 6th year of every presidential term, essentially it goes against the incumbent's party almost always. It's really hard. Clinton sort of bucked that trend a little bit. But certainly in 2006, when Bush got, essentially lost the Congress, the Republican House and Senate went down in flames. It was during the 6th year of his presidency. So that's typically what happens. And yet the Democrats have been able to keep a lot of these races close and competitive. And it's been forcing the Republicans to spend a lot of money to keep on the edge. And, it sort of bounced around. But there's been some movement. All these races, Iowa, obviously Kentucky's really close. Colorado's really close. I mean, all these things are within a couple of points. They're so close. And then and then the argument, the reason why I think Democrats are going to have a better night is potentially is if their ground game is better, then you don't necessarily poll. That's worth at least a point and a half. Having a good ground game, and they've done a really good job of keeping it close. And I think if you can keep it close, and then you push your ground game out, then potentially the Democrats could retain control. But
what makes you think
it's going to be a 1-seat majority?
What makes you think that the Democrats have a better ground game? I mean, the Republicans are pretty good at infiltrating, especially with their Tea Party movement, grassroots.
But they're not as unified, and Democrats have sort of learned how to target their voters a lot better. Like this is sort of the change when that 2008. One of the reasons 2008 was so successful is you had micro-targeting. You had a lot of David Plouffe and Axelrod were real tech-savvy guys.
Is that data mining from Facebook or what?
Not just Facebook, but everywhere. What they realized, they looked at, and Karl Rove was the master of doing this before the digital age.
So the Democrats adopted
and they sort of picked up on that. It's like you look at the voters and say, hey, we're going to lose in these 5 counties. It doesn't matter. But if
don't waste our time and effort there, right?
Either don't waste your effort, or actually drive the numbers up, get as close as you can, so that when you get to counties that you do win, overall it pushes your margin higher in the state. And they were really successful in pulling extra votes out in very key precincts that were helpful in putting Obama way over the top. And I think they've learned how to do that, and they've closed that gap. Even though, of course, in midterms, Republicans always say I have an advantage; they vote more than a lot of Democratic voters. But if you could push the percentages up, the races are so close. I think the Democrats still have a shot to hold the Senate. But even if they do lose, I think it's only going to be like by a seat or two. It's not going to be a wipeout. And the House will be interesting to see. I think the Republicans will pick up seats in the House. That's
going to be close as well.
A little closer, but they'll probably still net. I think 7 to 10 seats is what I'm thinking, maybe more. And keep in mind, there's always the October surprise. Anything can happen, which could break either way.
And that's the October surprise is not who you wake up with on November 1st after your Halloween party. Okay.
Nice. It's an October surprise, right? Oh, right.
That might be a November surprise, I guess.
A November surprise or a later surprise. But it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that and the races stay close, and then if there are any events that help it break one way or the other. And it's just so close, and it's just crazy because a few weeks ago it looked like Democrats were going down in flames, and the odds are.
We're bouncing back, huh?
A little bit, it remains to be seen, but I think we're staying in the fight, and that's key all the way to November.
All right. Well, either way, no matter which way you vote, make sure to stay informed and get out there on November 4th. Right? It'll be November 4th, Tuesday. 4th. Always a Tuesday. Usually Tuesday. That's the one thing I do remember. Yeah. Well, that about wrapped it up for our world news and current events. Tal, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. We're getting in our groove now, aren't we?
A little bit,
Yeah, we're getting
I
in
hope
there.
We keep getting them and editing and everything else. I think we're pushing out the content. So-
Absolutely. Any last words of advice before we go?
Oh, I don't have any words of advice. No, not today. Thank you.
All right, you are watching I'm Not a Professional, but wait, I am. The Sam Jack Podcast. We will be right back. Thank you so much for watching.